Hello everyone, Hammad here. Welcome to my channel, Cloud with Hammad, DIY Cloud Learning to Inspire. For today, our cloud series is to deploy Kubernetes nodes in Azure Kubernetes services. Now, before we dive into deploying the solution, if you are new to my channel, please subscribe, like, and share with friends. I would really appreciate that. Now, without further delay, let's go to our node. Hey guys, welcome to my notes. So today for our agenda is to deploy nodes in Kubernetes services. What we'll do is we will create pods using Nginx images, and then also I'll show you how to do deployments like, an app deployment. And then once I do that deployment, I will also show you how to scale that deployment into multiple pods. And then in the end, we'll just delete the pods to show you how to delete those deployments or a pod. And then we'll discuss a little bit about services. In the end, I will also show you how to do a quick example on how to do voting button. This is a generic example that is on the Azure website. So without further delay, let's get into the deployment. All right, guys, let's quickly discuss Kubernetes. Actually, I think before we go into deployment, I wanted to discuss a little bit about Kubernetes. There are a lot of information out there for Kubernetes. You can just go to the website and find those information. Microsoft even has an Azure Kubernetes page where you can just go and read it out. If you need more information, you can always ping me and ask me a question. But from my notes, from what I know is official definition of Kubernetes is it's an open source container orchestration tool developed by Google. It helps you manage applications in containers and in different environment. So I would say different environment would be physically on site or virtually or even on the cloud. What is the need? Actually, the need is the reason there's a lot of trends going towards monolithic to microservices. So it's increased usage of containers, demand proper way of managing hundreds of those containers. Why do we use a Kubernetes tool? It's because it is highly available. There's no downtime. It's scalable. Obviously, it can be scaled, which we will see in our example as well. And there's a disaster recovery point to it where it's being backed up and it's restored. So let's get right on to, there are some nodes definition as well. It shows that, hey, one node has an app, a DB app. There's definitions there, and I can also talk about it further, but this is more like an Azure topic. So let's get right on to the topic here. So let's go on to the Azure portal. I'm already logged in. For me to, I already have a resource group I created under name of Kubernetes. What I'm going to do is I will deploy Kubernetes services. For that, you can just either type in Kubernetes or select from here, or you can always go here and select Kubernetes from here if it's shown up. I would just go in and select Kubernetes services. And once you get to Kubernetes services, this is the dashboard. I would go into add cluster of Kubernetes services. So over here, once you get to this page, obviously you need to make sure that you have the subscription of what you're using. And then maybe I can just do, this is fine. So for resource group, I want to, as always, I think you already know that we create groups. So for resource group, I'm just going to use Kubernetes as a resource group, so that in the end, I just select that resource group and delete it. Everything will be deleted automatically. The name of the cluster, I would just say K node, K cluster, I would say. And obviously we will do it in US West. You can do it in any region, the one that is close to you because of the cost as well, I would say. Version of the Kubernetes, the default one showing up as 118. You can go to 120, your preference. I'll just go with the 20 as the default. Standard DS2v2. This is definitely something that I would want to point out. This is very expensive. So I would just, because this is a lab, I would just select the one which actually will work for us and also cost effective. If you look up here, even selecting a basic machine, the one that is recommending DSV2, it is costing us $102 a month. So for now, this lab probably will cost us $4 or $5, but I'm just pointing it out that you need to make sure that your what do you need to do this service for, and then plan it out at how you want to deploy or use those machines. I can just maybe just select the B2S, B2 MS, 2 core. Oh, we'll do this one, just simple. It's probably going to be the best for now. Select it here. Now, the node count. Now, node count is basically how many machines, virtual machines you have out there that will run, I would say, Kubernetes pods. So, so there will be 4, 3, 4. I would just say 4 machines. So let me explain this. For that, let me go back to my notes here for a second. I don't want to spend too much time, but I do want to explain this. What happens is, how do I explain this? In a Kubernetes, you have a master node. So let's say a server can be a master node. It is actually attached to different small machines or different small part of computers, which is basically called worker nodes. So worker nodes are the one who basically, the reason as it says worker, so it is worker, it works, it does the deployment and everything, but the master node actually just passes the message. It orders, hey, you know what, do this, do that. So basically the nodes, it's the one that does the work, okay? And then each node, you can deploy pods in there. So there's always a confusion with, hey, does the pod comes first or the nodes come first? But I wanted to let you know the node is actually the machine. And in that machine, you need to create pods, services, scale set. So this is important to understand. So I would say feel free to ask me if you have any question. But I was also confused when I started doing my DevOps course. So we selected 4 here for now. This is good enough. And I hit create, but accidentally. But I would just say 4 and go ahead and click next. If you look up here, it just selected 4. You can add more pools. More pools means that, you know, you can add agent pool 2 and you can have 10 nodes. Depends on how busy your environment is. You can have multiple nodes, and each nodes you can have billions of pods in it. So like the concept is different. You just need to understand. If you read the detail, you would know. And this is definitely not the place for me to explain what it is, but this is good for now. Go ahead, hit authentication. We'll use RBAC for now. As it says, it's a robust access control, which provides the grained control over cluster resources. And then we won't use service principal. I will say, hey, system assign manage identity. And we don't have Active Directory right now, so we won't do anything like that. Encryption, we'll leave it the way it is. Hit next. In networking, basically, we'll just select Kubernetes. The Kubernetes networking plugin creates a new VNet for your cluster. I can create my own and then attach those clusters to those, but I'll just let it go because the way it is for now is just doing a lab. And then security, everything should be default. Integration, we won't do any containers. We'll just go next. Monitor, we can enable the monitor policy. We don't have to assign a policy because this is a lab. We'll tag it. We won't give tag as well. We'll go next, and we'll hit create. So what we will do is we have created a node of 4. And once this deploys, I will log in and show you guys how to first log in and then also do some more work in there. All right, guys, the deployment is completed. So let's quickly check out how much time did it took for us to get this deployment done. So the 4 pods about 4 minutes, which is a good speed. Let's log in. So as you can see, let's get here first. As you can see, this is the dashboard where we have deployed one node pool, which has 4 clusters. This is networking part. Kubernetes version, and then you have more detailed namespace, storage, pool. You can add pools up here if you want to, like if you wanted to add some more node pools, you can do that here. Also some networking, also add some scale set, which we also already have defined first when we started deploying this. All right, so let's connect with our Kubernetes first. For that, you just need to get into Cloudshell. For Cloudshell, you just need to click connect, and once you hit connect here, you just have everything. I mean, because we're using our Cloudshell, we don't need to AZ account set to subscription and to our tenant ID. We're just going to use this credential and to log into Cloudshell. So let's click up here, and this will load Bash or PowerShell. We'll be working in Bash. Just going to big up a little bit more. So this is going to load CLI for Azure, and I already created a storage account, so it's not going to ask me a storage account. But first time when you log into Azure CLI, you will be asked. Okay, so again, we come back here to log into our cluster. We'll just copy this. It says AZAKS, Azure Kubernetes Services, get credential, which means that, hey, you know what, get the credential of a resource group named Kubernetes, which is what I created. Name of a cluster is K cluster. So I come up here, I would paste, and I would hit enter. It's gonna let me, as it got me in to K cluster, and this is my home directory. Go back here, and then you already are logged in. So these are the sample commands you can use, but I don't need to. I'm going to just start using what I have. So let's say one of the things that I also wanted to show you is it's called Cubectl, which is the main command for Kubernetes. So the command is Cubectl get all, and it's going to show you whatever we have in terms of nodes. Right now there's a service named Kubernetes that it has a cluster of a local IP, and external, there's no external IP. Before we do that, I want to show you one more thing. I'm gonna go back to my nodes Kubernetes architecture. If you can see, there is one master node here, and this master node is actually the one who is going to be commanding all these cluster nodes, like worker nodes. Like I said earlier, this node will pass, hey, do this, do that, and that nodes will be working. One of the important things that is the commandlet, that is called kubelet. That is the main which I would say is the one that basically issues the command. So kubectl, kube system get pods, it tells you everything. So just make sure you understand that kubelet is just like a commandlet, command prompt. So get here. Let's quickly deploy. Actually, let's do one more thing here. Let's get another one open. Since we already are logged in, it's gonna get nodes. So as you can see, there are 4 nodes that are open already. This is actually the nodes that you and I were talking about, that when we were starting to deploy the Kubernetes services in Azure Kubernetes, we said, hey, you know what, we need 4 nodes. So basically these are those 4 nodes. I'm going to see if I can scale them. So let's say watch, I'm on the right window, watch So actually, maybe the different command. Watch Cubectl get pods minus O wide. O is output. So right now there is nothing going on. Over here, we're just gonna do one more thing. So we are on this one. We would just say Cubectl get pods, and it's gonna show us that there's no pod going on. So let's say Cubectl run Nginx -- image equal to Nginx. So you can see there is a pod open under the name of Nginx, and it started to create, and it's on pool 3.5. Okay, so same thing. I do again. Let's say, I would say, just you can give this the name anything of your pod. Say Hammad, and it will create another one on my ride. Whatever available pool is, it's going to start creating it. So this is how you would see. So I'm going to clear the screen, and then I would say Cubectl get all. So it's going to show me that, hey, you know what, there's 2 pods running under name of Hammad and Nginx. One is creating a container, and there is an IP on you can see, and there is a service called Kubernetes services already. Later on, I will a little bit explain on how to expose that container so that you can access from outside of the network. In the meantime, I would say Cubectl get pods, and you can see there are 2 of them created. Okay, so this is how you create the pods. Let's get here and then say Ctl delete pod. One was Nginx. So once I hit delete, you can see on your right that one of the pods named Nginx will start deleting. You can look at that. It says terminating, you know, right here. Again, we'll wait. So this is basically creating containers. Cubectl delete pod Hammad, and you can see Hammad will also be gone. So there's no container. Okay, so the next step for us is, the next agenda was to first I showed you how to create pods. Now I'm going to show you how to create deployment. So basically what that means is that, let's say you have an app that you want to deploy. How will you deploy that app? It depends on where it picks up. There's a lot of architecture behind that, but I'm just giving you the basic foundation because this is like a foundation lab. Say Cubectl create deployment. You can give name of the deployment like Hammad or my deployment or whatever name it works for your project. I would say my deploy. So I would just say deploy. Actually, and then I would say image equal to Nginx. So once I hit deployment, you can see it created a deployment pod. Okay, it created now Cubectl get all. So when I hit create deployment, it created a pod. It created a service which is already there, and then also a name of a deployment, that hey deployment. Also, one of the things that it added was a replica set. It's like scaling. You can see for now we just have one desired, which is one that is current available and that is ready, and the age is 11 seconds. So now what happens is this is like manual deployment of scale set. Let's say that you're busy and you have your machines. You can run hundreds of pods, but I think mine is set to 20, but you can do hundreds of pods. Let's say I want to scale this deployment I say, let's say my site is busy and it's not able to handle the load. I say I want to deploy the container, like the pods, to 10. So I would just go right here, Cubectl, scale, deployment, and then name of my deployment is deploy. So this is the name of my deployment. You can say, you know what, when you're running a project, you can give them a project name. It will create a deployment under the project name. For now, if you imagine that this is my project which says deploy, so if the workload is high, so I would just scale it. So I would say scale deployment deploy replicas -f replicas equal to 10. So as soon as I hit 10, on your right over here, you should see there is 10 machines that get open. I'm just going to scale this here for a second so that it's much easier for you to see. Let's hit first this, and then you can see there is 10 deployments. So you can see that there are 10 container got open that is scaling based off your need. This is manual. You can also do like I would say, you can see this is like 10 machines that are running at the back end. You can add more if you want. I mean, let's say I want to do 50. Oh, 50 is too much. Let's do 20. So you can see on your right, it will create 20 more. 10 more. So it's manually happening right now, but you can also scale it with your application through load balancer. You can put in load balancer as well. So this is how you would scale your deployment manually. Also, you can just delete the deployments, like delete. So let's say same command, I will just change it to 4. Once I hit 4, you can see this is going to start terminating all my nodes, all my pods, and then eventually it will delete everything. This is too fast. You can see it's like in a second that it's changing and it's uploading everything. All right, so this is how I would say that pods and nodes works. I would also show you how to delete this deployment. Once that is done, then we'll actually go to Azure, one of the Azure app, like a tutorial on the website, and I'll show you how to deploy a solution through YML file, and then it's just a voting button. You can do it yourself as well. I'll just leave the link and also some information in my GitHub as well. All right, so right now, if you look at it, we have 4 pods running. So let me clear this. Cubectl get all. You can see there are 4 pods that are running under the name of deploy services, and there's a cluster IP. I would also would probably show you in my next example how to expose private IP into public IP, and then there will be another pods, but that will do it in example. It's much easier. Okay, so next thing is how to delete pods or deployment. Also, before I forget, I did some in my videos, I did some Kubernetes installation on Ubuntu, also a VM installation. So feel free to go and take a look at it. It's amazing. And then also there's a challenge on this is challenging. Sometimes the Kubernetes dashboard doesn't work. Great video to watch if you are interested in DevOps and are getting into Kubernetes. Do take a look at it. It's amazing to see. All right, so let's go back here. Cubectl, delete deployment, deployment name, deploy. This is the name, and I will hit enter, and it's going to just go ahead and delete everything. Get all. You would have everything terminating. So that's about it for the lecture. While this happens, I'm going to show you the website for Microsoft. This is absolutely the place where you want to be for Kubernetes, Azure Kubernetes services. It gives you a little bit about overview, concept, and then there is how to deploy a 5-minute solution. A lot of stuff here, architecture. I gave you a little bit of brief introduction on that as well. What we'll do is we'll just go here and we'll show you how to deploy a voting app. So simple. I'll let you know that, let's walk you through here. Sign into portal, which we already did, and we already have created cluster. Everything is there, a little bit of more information. And then once you do that, it shows you, hey, you know what, you logged in with your credential to your resource group. And then Cubectl get nodes, and then this was the initial when we logged in. Okay, so this is the YAML file which we'll create in our Kubernetes cluster, and then it will deploy it as well. So first thing is we'll copy this from here. This is a YAML file. What is happening there is two deployment of back deployment, and should have a front deployment as well. This is Azure voting, and there should be a what they're doing is they're just creating a voting app, cat dog, so you can just click on it, and it's probably using Dockers at the back end to deploy. And then we'll go from there, and then in the bottom it also deploys a load balancer, which will give you a public IP that you can go in and connect. All right, so let's do this. Copy. I can create a file, Azure vote.yml. Come here, clear nano Azure. Just trying to get the name. Azure-vote. This is the editor. It's already there. I will just I think I already had a file there. So what you do is you basically paste everything in here. Actually, let's do this. Yes. Enter. I would say rm azure-vote.yml, and the file is gone. So I would say ls, and there is a load balancer. I would say rm azure-vote-all-in one-redis.y. These are the files that get created. I'm removing this file. I can do *.yml too as well. Nope, not that one. Up here. Copy this. Get to your dashboard. Paste. X, yes, enter. I can cat that file. You can see all the code here that we just created. X out, control clear. And then what we'll do is we'll apply Cubectl minus F apply. I think Azure-vote.yml. I think it was called Cubectl apply. All right, so now we have applied what we did in the text file. There is a deployment that happened under name of Azure Vote back, and then Azure Vote front. The next thing is to expose the load balancer so that we can get a public IP. So if I want to come here, you can see we are right here on this. And then to test it out, if we do quickly watch this, so you can see there's an external IP associated with our app here. So once that is done, pretty simple, get here, and then I would copy the IP address, and there's another port that you can use. So let's say we copy this IP address and we get to this tab, port 80. I think we need to do a, there you go. So this is an app that got deployed through Kubernetes scaling and through cluster. It is actually installed in all of those 4. You can just do a vote app, dog, cat, do reset, and you know, this is basically what you did was you basically test the application. We just did the test application. We can also look at the health of this. We can go back to our nodes. I would come right here, and then this is the monitoring part. Alright, so we come here on our dashboard, we click on Insight, and you can see there's some triggering happening here. This is the tells you that, hey, what's the utilization, memory utilization, how many nodes we have. As I told you, we had 4 nodes, and then you know, these are the spikes for the work that was done morely running right now. Okay, so that's it. The deployment is done, and then we'll go do one more thing. We'll just clear. Actually, let's do clear, and then Cubectl get all. So I wanted to show you one more thing. Remember, I talked to you, there is a front port that is a load balancer that is in there, and we use the load balancer to log into our application. Simple. We'll just delete the deployment. I would say these are my deployments, these are 2 services, and these are the 2 pods that are running. If I want to scale it, I'll just log into any one of them and I can scale it. Till delete deployment, Azure.vote.front, and I would say back. Clear, Cubectl get nodes. We have 4 nodes, Cubectl get all, and you can see all the deployments are gone, and you can see the terminating is happening. We do need to delete the services, SVC, Azure -vote -back, and then we'll do front. And that's it. We are almost done. I hope you enjoyed the Azure Kubernetes lab. This was very good, insightful. Feel free to go ahead and look at this website. This is Microsoft. I will leave some notes as well. I do have my notes. Some of you already have access to this. If you need more, feel free to reach out. I got tons of information here, how to manage, process. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this lab. Feel free to message me, or if you really like the video, don't hesitate to like, and if you're new, subscribe, and till next time, have a great day. Bye.